Been hit.
It's
Slap
not
that
red.
button. Let's go.
For my wrongs, I have just begun. Ain't no mercy. Ain't no mercy. Huh. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking. Ain't no mercy. Ain't no mercy. Huh. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking. Rose. Don't be begging for your life, cause that's a lost cause. High stakes, body armor, suicide.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. How are you all feeling? It is a fantastic day to be with y'all.
Yeah, baby.
And you know, I say this every week, but we have a great episode today.
We do.
We are on to the Sweet 16 of our 2000s comedies bracket, so I'm excited about that. We're going to talk a little X-Men 97, review the first two episodes that have dropped of that. But more important, Marcus came in here like with a sense of like urgency. Like he rolls in. No bullshit. Just I have things to do. Let's start. And I was like, all right, man, let's get after it. But
serious business. We are in 1080p now.
We are
clear as day. You know what I mean? Brack Street Boys are back again. We not fucking around.
Did you call us the Brack Street Boys?
Damn right.
Okay,
I like
just
it.
wanted to make sure I heard it right.
Damn
I
right.
like it.
I'm not mad. Oh no.
You on
I'm
board,
not
Brian?
mad.
Are you on board? You on board?
I'm not mad about it.
Okay.
Brack Street Boys is fine. It's
Brack
just I
Street
was
Boys.
not prepared.
Oh yeah.
For
Shout
it.
out to the sick nasty in the chat that something hurts your eyes. I hope you're okay. I know we're starting a little bit late tonight, so I hope
It's the 1080.
It's the 1080p that's hurting his eyes.
It's
Too
1080p.
Too high. You can always
Burning
bust
your
it down.
retinas.
You can always bust it down.
Might have to
Great
put on
plug
some
to join
blockers.
our Patreon, patreon.com/films in black and white if you want to hurt your eyes. Watch this live stream.
There you go. Marcus J. Destin, aka Mac Daddy. How you feeling, sir?
Feeling great. Here we are live and in living color. Ready to pod with my boys. You know what I mean? Ready to pod with my guys. Ready to bust through this damn bracket. I was looking at it today, uploading some like the movie posters, and I realized we might have fucked ourselves. But like,
this
we
is
gotta
gonna be
live
hard.
with our decisions. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Can't go back, but here we are.
Yeah. So
Here
here
we
we are.
are.
But Doug, Age of Dougopolis.
Yeah. There you go.
How are you feeling?
I am doing quite well. Got to dive into some comic books that have been sitting on the shelf for a while for the research for X-Men 97, a discussion for that. So that was exciting.
Excellent.
Had a great time going out with Marcus and some other folks on Saturday. That was like highlight of my weekend. I won a game of darts. Also, highlight of my weekend.
It was the way he won on a triple 20 or some shit like that.
It was insane. I did not. It was not on purpose. But excited to be here. Just excited to be here. But Brian Roush,
hello,
stuck in an optic blast landing pose.
Big Roush.
I'm stuck here.
It made more sense with the pose, and now I'm caught up.
Yep, I was. You know what? I wasn't sure which arm you were going to go with, but now I got it. How you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling great. I'm just full of red ruby laser beams from my eyes to be here. I'm honestly, I got so much energy from watching X-Men 97. I've been waiting for this moment for like 5 days. And then it was even longer because I think Marcus and I watched X-Men 97 like the night it came out.
Yep.
And then it was like, all right, Doug, let us know. And then it wasn't until like yesterday, I think, that like our own spoiler ban was lifted. So me
and Brian hopped on a separate chat. Just realize that's the first time I've talked to Brian separately.
There was some things that there was some stuff that was like, did you really do this? Okay, you did. Okay,
it was crazy. It was.
This is how it starts. This is how I eventually become like a producer for this only.
Oh my
god!
Like
I get slowly boxed out.
One of us will quit the pod first before that.
Absolutely not. I can't. No.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. No, I'm joking.
How do you do? Yeah.
Goodbye.
But no. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with my guys. So So yes, and I'm excited to get into the bracket. Yes, we definitely like set ourselves up for terrible decisions in the best way possible.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Brian, before we get into Catch That Quotable and the rest of the business that we have, you want to let people know how they can stay in touch with us?
I would love to. Hey, folks, you already heard me mention it in the first 5 minutes of the podcast, but make sure to go check out our Patreon. This is the best way to support this creator-owned and independent podcast. So head over to patreon.com/films in black and white. Sign up for one of those heats. You can help us decide the direction of the show. You obviously get access to those live streams. And then additionally, you get to suggest movies for us to watch. You know that we are marching to the beat of our own drum. So if you want us to watch, say, I don't know, just going to throw a movie out there. Like, say you want us to watch Resident Evil Apocalypse, the second Resident Evil movie that we did for our bonus episode.
Very specific.
Seems like a little loaded.
Well, I think you'd hate it, Doug. I think you would absolutely eviscerate it. I watched it this past weekend. It is a film that was made. So, anyway, make sure to follow us on Patreon. We are also on Facebook at Films in Black and White. Go check out our Instagram. That's where we upload our videos at Films in Black and White. So make sure to follow us. Spoiler warnings for X-Men 97 if you haven't watched it.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Way to lay that down, Brian. And you're right.
Brian.
From the way you have described it, yeah, I probably would. And that does entice
more
me
intriguing.
just enough.
Yep.
It's probably the worst
punishment
of the Resident Evil movies, and Maggie and I decided we're just gonna watch them all over the next 2 weeks. So
move.
well, I mean, once we started the first one, she was like, "You wanna?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we just here we are. And we're on our way, and now we're on to the fourth movie, and we're gonna go to Alaska, and weird stuff's gonna happen. So that's Afterlife for anybody that is following.
Thanks, Brian.
No
I was
problem.
curious, which one is it?
Our resident Resident Evil updater is Brian Roush.
Right.
That's right. I want you to know that I keep saying all these names to Maggie, and she's like, I don't expect me to know what number that is. Tell me tell me the number of the movie. And I'm like, well, in Retribution, she's like, is that the fourth one? I don't know.
Brian, for me, same policy applies. Don't assume I know which one that is. Treat me like you would Maggie in this case of just say the number so I know what's happening here.
No.
So
it's Attack of the Clones. Figure it out. Figure out what movie number it is.
And the opposite of Fast and Furious, where they stop numbers.
That's very true.
Oh my gosh.
Titles.
Yeah, good point.
I also want to talk about a little bit before we get into Fast and Furious. Before we get into Catch That Quotable,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's coming up next? So this episode will drop on the 27th. You'll hear our X-Men 97 preview, a premiere review. Then you'll hear our Sweet 16 bracket. We'll dissect that in a little bit right after Catch That Quotable. Then on April 3rd, you'll get our Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review and 8 bracket. Then on April the 10th, you'll be hearing the news episode and the Final Four bracket and the championship round. And then on April 17th is our Silver War review. These do not include our bonus episodes on Patreon, and those are, if you are not in the Patreon, you will hear those 2 days prior. So those dates are for those that are going to catch this when the audio drops on Wednesday. And as a surprise to Doug and Brian, I think we're going to try and start uploading our videos to Spotify, because that is an option.
Amazing.
So we're going to work on that. So we'll have those visuals up there.
There we go. Well, that is a surprise, but it's a fun surprise.
Yeah.
And really quick, Civil War. We are not talking about the event that took place in the United States around the 1860s. We are talking about a movie by A24 that looks both horrific but incredible at the same time. I don't know what to do with that.
I don't know what to do with. I don't know. I'm waiting. I don't know. I'm waiting to either hate or love that movie. I don't feel like there's gonna be any in middle ground. I'm really. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. But gentlemen, we need to play a lovely game that we like to call Catch That Quotable.
Catch that quotable.
Silky sounds of Marcus J. Gentlemen, are you ready for this week's quote?
Hit me.
Look at you. You were in unison. That is so nice.
Look at that. All
right. This is the quote, because I realize I just kind of go into it and sometimes there's some confusion.
Mm.
This is the quote. Honey, did you see I put another hamper in the bathroom? This one's for your shirts. The other's just for socks and poo-poo undies.
What?
Honey, did you see I put another hamper in the bathroom? This one's for your shirts and the other's just for poo-poo for socks and poo-poo undies.
Is this a baby?
Well,
it's an adult. Maybe it's a joke.
I think it's definitely a joke.
Yeah. I have no idea where to even start. That's the
know
thing.
what I think. Here's what I think it is.
Okay, break it down.
This is my thought. This strikes me as and I don't know if this is it or if it's just in this same realm, but the movie is The Other Guys, because Will Ferrell and it's not Eva Longoria.
I think it is Eva Longoria.
I think it is.
Yeah, Eva Longoria are married.
That's the joke. Yeah,
and I could
Gator
see
don't play that.
Gator don't play no shit, and so I could see this being an exchange. Between the two of them.
Yeah.
It feels too kiddish though. Like I could see where you're going, but the poo-poo undies seems like it's a deliberate joke. Roman Myers also said older. So he said it's an older movie.
I guess you wouldn't say that to an adult. I guess.
No, you wouldn't.
No. Man, I could see it. Maybe what's the one with Liam Neeson and they on the plane?
Airplane?
Like something like that, or Pink Panther or something like that.
Airplane, Pink Panther also could be The Naked Gun.
Yeah,
I could see that. Ooh,
maybe
for some reason I like that one.
Maybe
he said
we're
70s.
getting 70s as our cue, which means I'm promptly not going to get it. Like that's just what's gonna happen.
And this is just movies, not TV shows, right? This if it's in the 70s, that means it's something black and white. Gotta be.
No, they were doing color at that point.
What is? Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 70s comedy. I think we've narrowed it down to a 70s comedy.
Marcus, I like your guess. I like your Pink Panther guess. That would be in the right time frame. Like that would be like in the right time zone. Like the original Pink Panther. That's where it would be. So I like that
Addams
as a guess.
Family?
That would be TV show because the movie didn't come out to the early 90s.
I don't know, Slapshot? I don't know. I mean,
all right.
That's my guess. Or Blazing Saddles.
You're talking to
involved.
There's like a big baby involved in this, and there's something that's like throwing me for a loop. And I don't know.
Blazing Saddles I like too.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, I'll go.
I don't think it's Animal House.
No. Marcus is getting kind of warmer.
That's surprising. Which part? The black and white part?
Or the big baby
part?
I mean, you could.
What was that?
Who's talking?
Okay,
no, that was 80s.
Oh, all right.
What's the TV show? I'm thinking like the realm of Beverly Hillbillies, or if I'm getting closer, and that's the 70s. And here's the thing: I don't know anything in the 70s, so I'm just guessing. Beverly Hillbillies. There was that dumbass TV show that had monsters in it, and then like like they were taking care of like
the Munsters.
The Munsters, yeah, like something like that. So I'll say like the Munsters or Beverly Hillbilly or something like that.
Brian, what's your guess?
I mean,
is that the 70s? And what's that show?
I don't know, man. I'm up a creek right now. Young Andy Frankenstein. Griffith? I don't know.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, so Brian guessed that one. I'm gonna go with Dr. Strangelove just because that's a 70s comedy that is in black and white.
Good about it. I'm not feeling good.
I also don't feel good about it. But here we are.
Enjoy the sweet whisper.
What did you say?
What?
Brian, what was your guess?
I said Young Frankenstein.
You fucking nailed it.
Brian motherfucking Roush. No,
fucking nailed it.
What? Oh, you
fucking nailed it.
I've never heard of this show.
Nailed
it. Feels good. It feels good.
It's a great movie. And Brian, now that you said that, like now that I have the quote, I know where it is. I know Like I know that part. It's like towards the end. Like
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in ages. Goodness gracious.
damn.
Good.
Well
good
fucking
pull.
done, Brian.
Downtown.
Wow.
Well done.
$70.
Marcus?
Raise $70.
Marcus, that one is worth a watch. Not something like you would need to like sit down and pay attention to, but as far as like comedy classics are concerned,
Oh my gosh.
that one I would
That one's good?
consider.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What
I remember
era
my
is the Munsters then? Like, is that the 70s?
The Munsters is a TV show
Oh,
in that same time
yeah,
zone, in
got
that
it.
same
Yeah.
time frame.
okay, got it.
And the whistling you
Um,
were singing is from Andy Griffith, the
Which
Andy
is-
Griffith
which is
show,
from when?
which is from the 50s.
Okay, I
So,
was way off.
but you're
way off,
fine.
way
you
off.
know,
Got it.
we're averaging
Got it.
here.
I'm
No,
black.
my
None of
close
those shows were for me.
that's yeah, they were
You're not wrong. I mean, my
My
film
mom loves Andy
teacher
Griffith.
suggested that's funny. My film teacher suggested that I watch Young Frankenstein in high school. That's the only reason I saw it, and I only saw it once. So
I've seen it multiple times. I have it like on DVD. Like I love that movie, but I really like Mel Brooks as a comedy guy.
yeah, it's
So-
it's one he excels in for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, there we go. Well done,
Wow.
Brian. I am like
Wow.
flabbergasted. Like you nailed it. Like I don't even know what to say. Like
I mean,
that's
as soon as we knew the time period, I was like, I think I can lock this in, but
There
like
you
I don't
go.
feel good about it. But like, I don't know.
Well
I was
done.
waiting for it to be Airplane or something, to be completely honest with you.
yeah. Well done. Really, yeah.
Yeah.
What? And then another quote from that wasn't your hump on the other side. That's another great moment. Gentlemen, we have a whole ass podcast to get
Oh,
to.
ass.
Oh,
But before we dive into X-Men 97,
Not to be confused with asshole.
That's important.
That's why I see it, Brian.
Whole
That was
first,
amazing.
ass second.
Yeah.
Any news or anything y'all want to plug real quick before we like jump into X-Men 97?
Y'all want to talk about the diddler?
I do not.
mean,
I do not. But let's just put it this way. Here's what I'm gonna say, y'all. Listen to all of your favorite Puff Daddy songs now, because in about 2 days you ain't gonna be able to play those shits no more.
no.
Yeah, them shit's gonna be illegal, huh? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
if people don't know what we're talking about, as of this broadcast, P. Diddy's Miami and California homes are being searched by like name an alphabet agency,
Department
FBI,
of Homeland Security.
Homeland.
That's the big one.
Like all of the police departments, any of them. And yeah, under a pending and current investigation. So
Yep.
Diddy,
Yeah.
Diddy's getting searched.
Diddy's getting served. I'm gonna do a rapid fire because I don't want to stick on Diddy too long.
Don't.
Because the feds gonna be on his ass like white on
They're
rice, so
listening
it doesn't
now.
matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they know anything?
No, we
No.
don't. We don't know.
These
We're
guys,
innocent.
we don't know.
these guys don't know anything at
Yeah.
all.
We do
We don't know.
movies.
Take
We
that,
don't do
take that,
music
take
right
that,
now.
take that. Okay, so Euphoria season 3 suffers a setback with surprising delay. And so I don't know if that shit is ever coming out.
It's
I'm
I think
just
after
doing-
the Idol. Oh, you're doing rapid fire.
I'm doing rapid fire.
Oh.
I'll do rapid fire.
Rapid
And then
fire.
we can respond. And then Jurassic World 4 is going to add Scarlett Johansson and will be leading the next installment of the franchise. Then Seth Rogen is in talks to lead or direct an animated Venom movie. And that's pretty much all of the like big news. Oh, one that pissed me off that I think will also piss off Doug. The Joker 2 is like, it is a musical and it has 15 songs and 2 are original songs.
What?
Yes. That came
This
out.
sounds like a great movie.
It
for
sounds
me.
fucking terrible compared to the first. It's such a
no.
dramatic shift.
It is, and I didn't like the first Joker 100%.
Really?
That's what I think. I think it's going to be a great discussion for all of us. No, like the first Joker is fine. I think it's fine, but like I don't think it did anything.
That's 2 fines, Brian. You get 1 more, and then you have to change to say what you really want to say. You get 1 more. Once you say it's fine again, you have to go.
Y'all, this
"Fuck it,
is the
I didn't like
problem.
it."
It's like Beetlejuice. You say it 3 times.
I know.
you unlock
Say it 3
something different.
times.
Look,
Yeah,
this
that's
is the
too many
problem
fines.
He's
and
right.
benefit of being on this podcast so long. You know when it's a double fine situation, you're
Yeah.
like,
It's a double
"Oh,
fine.
He's begging to be asked.
Mhm.
Like he just
Yep.
wants to let it
We
rip.
are.
But I'm gonna save that for another episode. So
Okay.
I'm excited for them to tweak the
That was a
formula.
good catch.
I'm
That's well
also
done.
excited
Mhm.
to see what Lady Gaga does. As
Yes.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Like
I'll
that's
agree.
probably what I'm looking forward to most.
I'll agree.
I am willing to
Yep.
give them a chance to figure it out. I am on record of not being a big fan of
You
musicals,
sure
but I
are.
will
Not
I
You
will
sure
give them
are.
a chance. I will give them a chance
Every
to
record.
figure it out.
He's
I
on
will
every
give them a
record.
chance.
So
What if it's like Wicked and then you like love it?
Then you know what? Then I have to eat my hat, and that's just where we're at. I will have to eat the grizzle.
Excellent.
the grizzle.
Excellent.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they gonna keep doing with these dinosaurs? Like, how many more? Like,
Are you
don't get me
kidding?
wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up loving dinosaurs. Harrison loves dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are everywhere. He colored me I have a picture right here. He
That's
colored
cute.
of a dinosaur.
My guy.
What are we doing here? Like, where else did InGen stash these fucking things that they have to like go find them now?
Okay, first off, like this is a universal franchise like
Mhm.
Fast and Furious.
That shit
They're
is going away.
gonna do everything. We're gonna have dinosaurs on the moon. Okay.
God damn it.
Like
Probably
that's
right.
where this all goes. And I'm not mad about it, but also like it's gonna happen. Or underwater dinosaurs, something or other. Like it's an infinite concept. Like, oh well, we didn't get this dinosaur park in Mongolia. No one told us about this one, and they're all like desert dinosaurs or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's one of these infinite franchises, like Fast and Furious. Just make the car go fast.
Okay.
I think
All
that's
right.
fair. I think that's
I
fair.
won't say anything else.
Mhm.
Doug,
Nice.
I'm not surprised. It's not. I don't. I get it. I get it though. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying,
it's like-
but
yeah.
I see them wanting to milk this continuously. And if they get Scarlett Johansson for this, that's a whole trilogy that we're looking at.
That's the thing it is, and she'll be, and the problem is that she will have more like character development
Yes.
like right off the jump than she did in her time at Marvel, and it'll
Oh my
make
gosh.
everybody will be mad about it. The last
You
thing
already
I
know
wanna-
the media cycle.
I do. I know how this is gonna go, you guys. And the other thing I'll say is, man, Seth Rogen, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
animation guy, because that
Yeah.
is
Seriously.
after Mutant Mayhem. I am excited to see what you do with Venom. Very
Mhm.
excited to see what
Yep,
you do.
that's what
So,
I
yeah.
said.
I just
yeah.
want to say real quick, we're totally not getting Euphoria season 3. Like,
Fuck
I don't
no.
think they can get that cast back together if their life depended on it.
They encouraged, it was said in the report, they encouraged the cast to take other roles. I think that shit is a fucking wrap. And I think
Yep.
if it takes you 3 years to like film it, like to even get a third season done, one, do these people age out or lose interest in Euphoria and the direction it's taking? Because you've got to evolve this thing, right? And it's like
Yep.
it's pushing its limits. And I think that you have I'll just take one person because I only know this one person's work. You got two. Sydney Sweeney is going to go in a completely different direction here soon,
Yep.
and then Zendaya is going to probably get to a point where she's kind of tired of maybe portraying that role because of the inconsistency. Because I'm surprised she's not getting ultra booked and busy at this moment.
I think Zendaya is Zendaya. Zendaya. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure like she's kind of hit that moment. I feel like her and Sydney Sweeney both hit that moment in stride like in the past 2 months is what I feel like. And they're going to be producing their own things. I feel like Euphoria though was an awards machine, so I do feel like that's why some people kind of stuck around it when it was like problematic at times.
Yep.
I still have not watched an episode.
It's fine. It's
fine. Like I just looked it up. It's Zendaya. I don't know why I double guessed myself, but like Euphoria is fine as a drama that explores addiction. Having them be high schoolers is a choice, but at the same time, it is a reality for people that age.
Yeah.
That just I have never experienced anything like that. I have not been touched by those experiences, but you see why she won the awards. I think that's the best way for me to put it, Doug. Like if you watch the episodes she won for, you're like, oh, I get it. Like this is above everything else on TV that Zendaya is doing. Like it's above everything else in a dramatic role. Like that's kind of where it's at.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney played ostensibly a 16-year-old in Madam Web, so I don't think the age is an issue. It's just going to come down to time, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, they have to go to college. They have to go. Like, if they do it, they have to go to college. There's no way any of those people could be high school.
Oh God, that
at
feels
this
like
point.
that's opening a whole nother fucking door,
Well,
and I
is
don't.
Opening a
Yeah,
whole other door.
I mean, I
you need
feel
a
like
new
it's-
cast. I think you need a new cast because
Yeah.
there's the young man that's in that movie that's in that show too.
Mm.
That is probably going to take off here soon, and I
S-
forgot his name.
I know the guy you're talking about. The guy who was in Saltburn.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yep.
Basically the one guy in Euphoria.
Mhm. Yeah, his dad. Yeah, I don't even feel right explaining what he goes through in the show because I don't think it does it justice. But yeah,
No,
Okay.
Jacob
Okay.
Elordi, I believe is.
Yes, I
is-
think that's
I
right.
think I'm saying his name right, but yeah, Jacob Elordi. I do feel like he's gonna pick up some buzz in the indie scene. He did a really good job in Saltburn. So
you know, nice
just make
looking
your
guy.
peace with it, folks. We're not getting Euphoria season 3. It's okay.
And
We are not.
I don't want to throw that in there either. But the actor also passed. Like one of the actors also passed away in that. And I was wondering,
Oh wow, you're right. Yeah,
like, how do you maybe everybody's kind of like, you know what? After taking time away from it, let's leave it where it kind of sat with this
mean,
person in the show. And
it's a fine
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah.
It's a fine ending.
All right, gentlemen, shall we get into X-Men 97? Shall we?
oh, we're doing that
know,
first before the bracket.
That's the way you had it listed on the little
No,
plug thing at
that-
the beginning.
Oh, I did. Oh no. Oh no, it didn't have to go in that order.
Well-
I just
Well, then
said
let's dealer's choice. I will turn it to you,
Brian?
my guys. Do you want it to
Sure.
be bracket or you want it to be X-Men 97?
Brian, your call.
Let's bracket it up. Let's
Yeah.
bracket it up first. There's only 8 decisions compared to the 16 we
Oh, okay.
made last week, so I do feel like it's gonna go a little bit faster.
Let's hope so.
Because it was a little rough there. It
I
was a little rough there.
mean,
was a moment. I had a very interesting moment
yeah.
there. Walking out, I went to the movie theater not to watch a movie, but to pick up like some stuff for work, and had a very interesting interaction, kind of leading into our Ghostbusters review of people
Yeah.
walking out of the theater and their initial reactions to Ghostbusters,
Okay.
Frozen Empire. And I thought it was just very intriguing. It was 2 things, and this is real quick. It was like, oh, the movie was just fine. Like, it was fun. It
Yup.
was fun, and it was fine. And then the other thing was, I said me and somebody's daughter we were talking about Ghostbusters, and I was like, well, I really liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the daughter was like, yeah, I thought that one was really, really good. And they was like, there was a movie before this. I feel like people missed a step here, and
Yeah,
maybe it was
interesting.
Ghostbusters, but a lot of people don't know that the Frozen Empire is the sequel or what follow up to Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I just want to
You're
plug that here.
kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was both. It was 2 sets of parents in the hallway, and they both said the same thing of like, we did not know that there was a movie before that. That's why we
That's
feel
wild.
like we missed something.
That's
So,
so funny.
yeah.
That is funny. All right.
So, all right, Brian,
folks.
walk us
Brian,
through it. Talk
bracket
me
that-
through it, Brian.
Bracket Daddy, take it away.
Like a freak.
All righty. Our first matchup, folks, is the 40-year-old virgin versus Bruce Almighty. You've got Steve Carell and arguably one of his funniest roles, and Jim Carrey as God.
Is this gonna mess this up if I pull the poster out?
I don't think so.
Should I try?
No.
I don't know what it's
going
going to do to the share screen. There
just
you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. 40-year-old virgin.
Old
He's
virgin.
right there. And then whirled on a string.
On the yo-yo.
Like
I'm
gonna
going
start at the
Bruce
top.
Almighty.
You're going Bruce Almighty. I'm going 40-year-old virgin.
Okay.
There's just, I mean, there's more laughs to me in 40-year-old virgin, even though it takes some of the setup takes longer. So, Doug, you are in the unenviable position of deciding this right now.
I enjoy the 40-year-old virgin more. I'm with Brian. I think that for me, the laughs come quicker. And that's not to say that I don't appreciate like Jim Carrey's comedy. I think Jim Carrey as a comedian generally can do no wrong. I just think in terms of writing, I think I enjoyed 40-year-old virgin just a little bit more.
No, that's understandable. I think I picked Bruce Almighty knowing it would lose, because if you're asking me which movie I would easily watch first, it would be Bruce Almighty, and I could easily laugh because that's just my shit. So
that one is easier to get into. I will say that. Like 40-year-old virgin, there's like a little bit of a wind up, and you need a minute. Okay, we're on Clerks 2 versus The Hangover, two
Oof.
wildly different movies.
Very different movies.
Wow. Okay, I guess I forgot this after our Juno conversation for some reason. Here we are. I forgot Rosario Dawson was in this, by the way. Totally forgot.
I only remember Rosario Dawson because there's a whole joke about going ass to mouth in Clerks 2. And she says, you never go ass to mouth in public. And then she talks with Dante in her office because she's the manager of the movies.
Right.
She goes, hey, between you and me, sometimes it's acceptable to go ass to mouth. That's the line I remember from that movie.
Oh my god.
Rosario Dawson is
she does it all.
But here's the thing. She commits. Like she commits to all of it. So I'm like, not even mad about it. So
and now she plays Ahsoka.
And now she plays Ahsoka. Yep. Ahsoka talked about going ass to mouth. That's how that's the sentence.
Oh,
look at the pipeline. Yeah.
That's the pipeline.
Look at the pipeline. That's crazy. Let's move on from this. I'm gonna go The Hangover.
I am also going The Hangover.
When did I become the person we move on from?
You know, it happens. Your roles flip flop very easily on this podcast.
You're allowed.
You're versatile.
I'm also going The Hangover, so I have nothing to say about this matchup other than nothing to say about this matchup other than when did this happen to me?
Life comes at you fast.
It comes at you quick.
Clerks 2 is a darling, but The Hangover is just, it has such a legendary status with even just the way it ends. It's a fun mystery.
What Clerks 2 did as a sequel to a beloved cult classic,
right?
It did a good job. Like they're walking into Clerks 2, I went, nope, no way that Kevin Smith is going to be able to pull this off. This isn't going to work. And I thought it was pretty true to the original, and I enjoyed what they were able to put out. So tip of the hat to Kevin for actually being able to do it. So that is the way that this ended out. Shouldn't be like anything other than Sorry,
I agree with
Marcus.
you.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going. I have a prediction that The Hangover and 40-Year-Old Virgin are going to be in the championship. That's just
bad news.
They
can't be.
Oh,
that's
damn!
Next week. That's next week.
40-Year-Old
Virgin versus The Hangover. Dang. We're gonna have to search our souls for that.
That one's gonna be a tough.
Until then, we have to decide: Meet the Parents versus Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Also, shout out to Marcus for having all these posters ready to go.
Yeah, well done.
Like, we didn't talk about that, and he's just doing it. Man, what a guy!
Just your fan club. Your bromance. The bromance between the two of you grows. I am gonna go with.
This is your fault because you didn't watch X-Men '97 in a timely manner. I just want to say that the only reason me and Brian could not hold, we couldn't.
Yes,
we couldn't hold
in
it
a timely manner.
Coming to the fucking week to watch X-Men '97
from the gentleman who has before told me that he waited until the day of to watch a movie for this podcast.
That's true.
That's true.
Hey, Pot. I'm
true.
Kettle.
That's
what
true.
color are we again?
And I am black. That's true.
Yeah, as am I. In the Kettle Pot scenario. I'm gonna go with Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents. Oh, what? How, Mr. Pot Kettle? How are you going with Meet the Parents?
How the fuck y'all just moving on?
Yep, just moving on.
All right. Mr. Kettle.
How did you come to this decision over Harold and Kumar? Like over the Neil Patrick Harris of it all?
I think because like in terms of a story, I think as far as like there's a little bit more complexity to the way in which that story is written. I think there's a little less disbelief. And I think there's a little bit more relatability overall to that story. I think for most folks, they have a meeting the in-laws for the first time and sort of the anxiety and fear that can come with that type of experience. And it does take a relatively common fear and something that everybody can relate to and then makes it really, really funny. I think Harold and Kumar, again, no shade to them at all. Come on, Boogie, we gonna burn this mother down. Like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle are it's a very well done story. it's just I think there's a little bit more disbelief that has to be suspended on like, wait, all of these things happen to these two people while they're just trying to go get burgers. So like for me, I think I'm going with Meet the Parents because it's a little bit more relatable.
Yeah,
I'm going Meet the Parents.
You're going Meet the Parents.
I've seen Harold and Kumar twice. I've seen Meet the Parents at least 7 times.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
just feel like
going.
the
I'm
way
going with
it's
Meet the
the
Parents.
it's just what Doug said. It's the execution of the comedy.
Yeah.
And Meet the
Yeah.
Parents is more my style, I think, for me. Not to say Harold and Kumar is a bad movie at all.
No, it's not.
Harold and Kumar is a good movie, and it feels explicitly made for people who are on mind-altering substances, whether it's alcohol or marijuana or whatever, choose your own adventure type situation. But I feel like you have to be in a certain mindset for it to like fully enjoy it. Whereas Meet the Parents, you can watch that stone sober.
Yeah.
And you're good.
That was when Comedy Central, you had to smoke to watch Comedy Central on TV. Like everything that came on was like for Smoker's Paradise.
Not when Reno was on. Reno 911.
I loved Reno 911.
I love Reno 911.
Man.
And I feel like somebody was smoking while that was on too.
I mean,
speaking of the good times, folks, we have the Will Ferrell Bowl. We have Anchorman versus Talladega Nights.
Can you go back to that first? Can you go back to that first poster?
This one?
Yes. Now go to the other one.
It's the same
This
thing.
is triangle cast pulp. Like that's what this is.
Yes.
So like if for those who are listening, just Google Anchorman: Legend of Ron Burgundy, Google Talladega Nights. The posters are identical.
Yeah.
They are Will Ferrell in the center, different people on either side.
With supporting characters in a triangle behind him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
It's the Will Ferrell recipe.
It is.
It is.
It is 100%. They knew exactly what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
So let me tell you how I'm going to go about this.
Fuck, this is hard.
This is the hardest one, I think.
I am going to try to separate. Because these two movies have a common denominator, I'm going to try and take Will Ferrell out of them.
Okay.
How are you doing that?
By not making my decision based off of his comedic ability and the way his acting carries it. Because here's the reason why I say that. It's top notch in both. Like if I was, I mean, that's a Sophie's choice. Like you can't. That's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah,
so I think you have to like sort of evaluate the cast of characters around him. And I think in that regard, I think Talladega Nights for me is a movie I prefer because of the dynamic that he has with the other folks that he is there. In particular, his element with John C. Reilly is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you take on top of that the whole like stabbing the knife in the leg, like in the hospital seat, like all of that. I think for me, that to me does it for me a little bit better. That is not to say that there aren't moments like I love Lamp. Like, are you just looking around the room and saying things you love? I just think for me, Talladega Nights, I think is something I would watch again and again and again.
Brian, you want to go? You want me to go?
I'll go. Okay. I'm gonna break the ice. It's Anchorman still for me because
all right.
I thought about what you said, Doug. Like I listen and you think about like you take the Will Ferrell of it all out of it, right? And you're like, because
Brian, you could say I listened, but I fucking disagree. Like you could just skip it. Like you,
my man was putting all the fluff on there. He was like, "Listen, Doug, I hear you aggressively, and I love you with all my heart and well-being.
But you a dumb bitch. That's what you are, Doug.
Just tell Brian, look at his square and say, "Fuck you, square." It's Anchorman.
Because Brian was like, "Hey man, you are such a good friend, and I like you a lot, and I listened."
He said, Brian said the word. I listen.
Look, I promise I'm not like using my like masters in counseling here to massage you to a certain thing I want you to do. I promise. I hear you, and I like that. I'm not trying to gentle parent you.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Well, it's really important.
I listen.
Doug.
I don't need to be Brian.
No, look.
Call him a
The sup-
motherfucker right now.
To me, the supporting people in Anchorman stand out to me. I really like Christina Applegate.
That's fair.
I think she's really good in it because she kind of has to play this like straight character. But Paul Rudd stands out in this movie. Like, I can't tell you how many Paul Rudd quotes from this movie that I've said, and also Steve Carell just being this idiot.
Yeah.
Talladega Nights, it just doesn't reach that high for me with the supporting cast. Like, I definitely don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
A classic. It is classic, and Sweet Baby Jesus, but like it's Anchorman at the end of the day for me. So Marcus, it goes to you.
All right, I'm doing the opposite of what my boy Doug did, and I'm gonna say this, and this is no insult to just what Doug's processing was. I think it actually helped me process my choice. If I'm looking at both of these, okay, I think that if Paul Rudd wasn't Paul Rudd, Steve Carell wasn't Steve Carell. If I'm looking at this crew and all the side characters weren't who they are, would the execution be the same? I think yes, because I feel like you have to look at Will Ferrell. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And which character that he which character does he really go all the way with comedy wise? Because I feel like you don't get that story unless you get that execution from Will Ferrell. Because I think Anchorman and Ricky Bobby are both like the same kind of guy, but like one pushes the envelope on what's like pushes it on funny. Now Anchorman, I think he uses the full cast to get that shit off. Now in Talladega Nights, I just think that Will kind of carries that movie because it does revolve around him, and half the funny shit that he's that the surrounding cast is reacting to is primarily about like him. And so I feel like Talladega Night. Now that might sound weird to the listeners, like what the fuck is he talking about? It makes sense in my head that I feel like Will in Talladega Nights is a different breed. Anchorman is okay. I feel like you could do Anchorman with Paul Rudd as fucking Ron Burgundy, or you could
probably
Steve Carell as Ron Burgundy. But like, Talladega Nights, Will Ferrell is Ricky Bobby.
Fair enough.
And so I'm going Talladega Nights.
Congratulations, Talladega Nights. I'm gonna rewatch this just to see. I'm gonna rewatch it after Resident Evil.
Brian, as you bring up the other one. Like one thing I wanted to make, like, because I went back and I listened to the episode where we did this before and realized that we didn't maybe necessarily explain, like, when we use the phrase like, oh, they have to play a straight man, or they have to play the straight, just to let everybody know that, like, when we're talking about a comedy scene, the straight is designed to be the person who's supposed to be the everything is fine. They're supposed to be the voice of reason, the, for lack of a better phrase, normal character in a scene or in a movie that is sort of making what the comedic performance is doing. It's supposed to heighten that and to make it seem all the more ridiculous and funny. So a great example, Step Brothers. The two of them are interviewing for a job. They are sitting across from Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen in that example is the straight man. They are, because their level of ridiculous, he might have some comedic lines, but given their level of ridiculousness and what they're doing, he is playing the straight man in that scenario. So just to kind of let folks know like what that means as we sort of talked about that to sort of bring people up to speed.
Okay. We have four matchups left here. So Shaun of the Dead versus White Chicks.
Where did I put that poster? Oh, no, that's super bad.
Super bad.
Here it is. White Chicks.
We got White Chicks versus
I don't know where the other one is.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. There you go. Just imagine the poster was up there.
Man, I feel like these two movies do two wildly different things.
They are very different movies.
Very different.
That's Shaun of the Dead.
This is
I don't know, man.
Okay, what are you asking me? Are you asking me what I would prefer to watch? What are you asking me? This is an audio adventure.
I mean, we're asking you which one of these moves on in the bracket.
A lot of thinking is required.
You know, like
Brian,
no, I'm being
here's what. Well, remember when we put the bracket together, one of the decisions we made last week was we
Mhm.
said like impact on the zeitgeist of the time,
Mm.
like impact on like where it played there. I think what we've been generally evaluating is, comedic writing, comedic styling.
Yep.
For me, it's the storyline that's through till the end, I think is something I've
Yep.
been thinking about is like a start to finish, making it a complete sort of story on that end. So, I mean, they're very similar in what they are. I mean,
Mhm.
they're Shaun of the Dead
Niche.
is a story. They're both very niche.
Mhm.
Shaun of the Dead is a story about two really good friends. White Chicks, they're brothers or are they friends?
They're brothers.
They're
Oh,
brothers.
No, they're friends.
no.
No, they're
They're
I
friends.
think
friends.
they're friends.
They're
They're
friends.
friends. So
Yeah.
again, two stories about
I'm sorry.
friends, both getting themselves into a unique situation and then having to like navigate their way around it.
Yeah.
For me, would probably watch. I'd probably. Here's where I'm caught because White Chicks had that whole thing with Terry Crews.
Mhm.
I think the premise of it of like them trying to hide the fact that they're men when they're surrounded by women all the time. Like when they go to the bathroom, he's like, "Move, bitch!" Like and he just like he moves her, pushes her out of the way. Like there are moments here that are just like very, very funny to me.
Yeah.
And they make me laugh, but Shaun of the Dead doesn't make me laugh in the same way.
Mhm.
Like it's
It will-
funny,
It's
but it's a different
wittier,
style. It's exactly. It's more.
right?
Do you want wit or do you almost want? It's like you're comparing styles of humor, which is hard.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going with White Chicks.
Yep.
If you're talking cultural relevancy, I cannot ignore White Chicks in my social circles.
There you go.
They
Yeah.
did something that was different as two black leads. They didn't get a lot of backlash. Once again, these iconic moments from this particular movie, they had the Wayne's recipe of putting this shit
Yeah.
together and making something that is undeniably rewatchable. I have to be in a certain mood to watch Shaun of the Dead, me personally, and only caught it on like Comedy Central or when it was being shown. White Chicks is something I will go deliberately look for to watch to laugh. That's how I process this matchup.
I think I appreciate what you said. I'm not to make Brian.
No, yeah.
But I'm going with White Chicks too. Then, like, because I think
Okay.
in terms of moments for me that come like straight to my head, like that, and I miss you, like that to me will always be like that will always invoke that thought process. I do think I need to be in a certain kind of mood to watch Shaun of the Dead. Like that to me is my like if I want to watch a horror movie around Halloween, but otherwise I may not necessarily be
specific
up like in the middle of the year, whereas I could pick up White Chicks at any point in time. So I think that's a good, you said that very well, Marcus.
Thank you.
I'm
Brian.
going with Shaun of the Dead. I think I like the wit of it. I also feel
That's
like
fair.
the weigh-ins, and maybe I'm grading on a scale here, but like I feel like their type of humor is better in other movies that even we've talked about in this bracket too. And I shouldn't be debating against another matchup that isn't here.
That's fair though.
I did just enjoy the satire, I think, in Shaun of the Dead a little bit more than like some of the obvious quirks in White Chicks. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's fair.
I think White Chicks is a funny movie, and I do feel like it is underrated, and like I do feel like it's a little bit forgotten about. But it was really edgy for the time, and I still feel like there's even some edgy stuff in there, even for today.
It's just it's very niche. It's indie feeling. Even though it didn't have an indie type of reach, it had a much broader reach, but like it is just it's a niche type of taste and style, especially it being like a British UK overseas type of movie. And I think that plays a part in that too, culturally.
I agree. I'm also like the film nerd bro. That's like, well, Shaun of the Dead makes so many of these archetypes.
Rightfully so, though. Rightfully
I
so.
mean, in terms of, I mean, if we were evaluating it on like, if we were evaluating it on things like cinematography and like
Shaun
shot
of the Dead,
composition, it would be Shaun of the Dead hands down. Or even dialogue, I would probably go
originality.
I would go that far.
But
it's just I think for me in terms of like that like ease of entry piece is where that differentiator was.
No, and as we're talking about it, it's just like I have to put up so many things of like so many gates and fences of like, well, no, this is why it's special. Where White Chicks is like, no, it's just funny.
It's
like
just
you
funny.
don't,
Yeah.
you don't
And
need
that's
any
how
of that
my-
setup.
That's a great way to put it.
That's how
Brian.
my brain is processing all of these
You know?
picks. Is like, what will I go? It's not the fact that we can move as we move on to the next one. It's not the fact that it's one is better than the other. I do want to make that very clear. It is, for me, it's this: what would I turn my TV on, click through all the streamers, and be willing to go watch between the two? And I think that's how I'm making my selections of like, I'm willing to do all of that quote unquote work to laugh at this movie.
Yeah.
Fair.
Alrighty, folks. Our next matchup is Van Wilder versus the Step Brothers.
God,
This
that
doesn't
poster.
even
And
feel-
I can already. I'm just gonna come out of the gate. I think Step Brothers is better than Van Wilder.
I also think
Absolutely.
Step Brothers is better.
This felt unfair, but like, yeah.
It did feel unfair, and I'm glad Brian was brave enough to be like, "Look, I'm just gonna make this decision."
Look,
I was gonna if no one else was.
Van Wilder is fine and raunchy, and like if you're like a freshman in college, I could see how this movie could like just really stick with you.
Like, really
but,
rock
like,
your world.
Yeah, exactly. But
Mhm.
like Step Brothers, it has so many understated comedic moments that stay with me, and that's hard to do. Catalina Wine Mixer.
The fucking Catalina wine mixer. I got you, Brian.
I appreciate you.
I got you,
I
my
appreciate you.
I got you.
I think Van Wilder set the stage. Sorry, I had to look something up.
Hmm.
Van Wilder set the stage for like college level comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it went Van Wilder, then Old School, then Road Trip, and that is our like string of like college experience type movies where there are very specific things that happen.
You don't get accepted without Van Wilder.
No, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
I
So again,
agree.
but I just think fucking Catalina Wine Mixer. The
I mean,
moment, the moment where he's like, "This guy's gonna eat your dick," and he goes like Kobe Opshi, like that part of it is
The
hilarious.
quotes that Doug remembers are always my favorite.
I do want to say something that of all the college, like I want to point out Van Wilder made it the farthest in the bracket in the college division. So I
It's the
feel
most
like
original.
I feel like that's something to say. Like Van Wilder wins that contest like over all the Road Trip movies.
Yes.
So congrats to Ryan Reynolds and his team for accepting this award they had no idea they were up for.
And Kumar, what's the actor's name?
Oh, I gotta look it up.
But he was in Van Wilder.
Yes, he was.
So you ostensibly would not have gotten Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle without his appearance.
He was also in the White House.
Yeah, he was.
He also like
he
made
was
policy.
He's also a staff member. So yeah, that's a
Cal Penn.
Cal Penn.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out with Van Wilder. So congrats to them.
Oh, this is gonna be hard.
We're back to the weigh-ins, folks. We have Scary Movie versus Superbad. Oh man,
this is tough. This is tough. But you already know where the fuck I'm going. I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna take the lead on this one. Go ahead, mark it down, Brian. You know exactly where I'm going. Scary Movie is getting my vote. Just rewatched it. We just rewatched it, just talked about it on this podcast. Forgot how fucking funny and original that movie is. The movie is so goddamn funny and so bad in like a bad Mama Jamma type of way of like it sparked like a series of parody movies of every genre. Like they took it from the Wayans, like that recipe from the Wayans Bros, and they tried to do their own shit with like Epic Movie and like all these kind of shit, but they couldn't nail the same recipe that fucking Scary Movie did. Superbad is still good. Lots of iconic movies. Once again, what would I watch and rewatch? It's absolutely Scary Movie. Absolutely.
It's so easy. It's so easy to go Scary Movie. Like I just need to say that out loud. Like I do think Superbad is good. Capital G good.
Really good. Iconic for the culture too, because I do want to say Superbad did a lot for the culture. So because I keep mentioning that, and in the time period I was in, Superbad shit, McLovin, all of these quotes, like it did a lot for that time period.
Okay, Brian, I have a feeling you're going to Scary Movie. So before you change that,
I don't
before you
know.
mark that off,
I'm not.
let me provide you my argument for why I'm going super bad.
Go ahead.
Okay.
In this
Love it.
year's election.
Love it.
Hold on, everybody, wait, what? No, for me, I agree with everything that Marcus said. I think that it defined an entire genre of like spoof type movies.
Absolutely.
However, in term for me, where I give Superbad points is its originality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This what I'm about to say is going to sound like a dig, but it's not. Scary Movie is a premise that is repurposed from a comedic perspective.
Sure.
Okay.
What I appreciate about Superbad is, for the most part, that movie was written by Jonah Hill and Evan Goldberg and is an
Yeah.
original thought process. Like, is their story of their youth that they were able to play out and put in this format. So I think that there's that level of originality, and then you add on top of that some of those other things like you add in some of those other things like McLovin, and then like the two cops, the Bill Hader, Seth Rogen cops that like take him around, like all of those things. I think for me, that's why that one's getting my vote.
I have pushback. Do you want it or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. Like it,
It will probably won't change your vote, right?
It will not change my vote.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
You were only going to give it to me if it was going to change my vote.
I mean, I'm not a fan of not fighting, but I'm not a fan of like, you like what you like. I'm not here to convince nobody nothing. It was just an alternative point.
I don't know, man.
Let's fucking get it out there. Let's fucking fight about it.
It's just, I mean, let's put it all on the fucking table. Come on, man.
Put this shit on the table.
I just
dipped on and around it for weeks.
Somebody's gonna blow up on this pod. I do feel like that there is originality in the way you go about it. When I watch, Doug, you watched I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Doug, you've watched Don't Be a Menace in South Central While Sipping Your Juice in the Hood. Doug, you've watched Scary Movie. These are three Wayans movies, like major hitters in their realm. The way that they go about comedy and analyzing these horror movies, I think pointed out a lot of shit that in turn sparked a lot of shit in the future. Now, if I'm going just like funny, like I think that they're original in their approach to it. Like, it's
no, 100%.
Like that. But so yeah, that was just my only. That was my only.
No,
comment.
completely agree. Brian, we need a winner.
I know. I'm gonna choose Scary Movie, and it's a tough call. And I really like Superbad's originality. I love a good satire, and Scary Movie is a defining satire movie that's also a good movie to me. Superbad is a great narrative format. It is a great narrative format. Comedy movie, there are some shocking things that happen in there. I feel like Scary Movie's a tighter package.
True.
That's where I'm at the end of the day.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So
not gonna argue with you.
That was tough though. I killed the darling, and here we are. Anyway, speaking of darlings, our last matchup,
the
Mean
cabal
Girls.
that is Brian and Marcus continues, but that's fine.
What are you talking about, white chicks?
Yeah. What the hell? We just collaborated on the last movie.
Marcus, don't say anything. This is
okay, my bad. Sorry.
We have Mean Girls versus Dodgeball.
Sorry. Yeah.
I also like that I called you white chicks. That made me really.
It's fine.
How downgraded to go from the Great White Hope to white chicks.
White chicks. Yeah.
Great White Hope. No, you're white.
Really falling off, you guys.
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even gonna ask how honest you want me to be. I'm gonna be honest. Mean Girls is funny. It is funny. It's iconic. It is culturally shifted. They would not do a follow-up musical if it wasn't funny to an audience. I do think that the taste is very specific, and it's not for me. Like, this movie was not made for me. So in this matchup, I think Dodgeball is for me. It is my style of comedy through and through. And we've already talked about how complete that movie feels. I'm sticking by that argument.
Yep.
Dodgeball for me, very similarly to Marcus, it's if someone says like, "Hey, we're gonna watch Mean Girls," I'll be like, "Oh, okay." But if someone's like, "Hey, dodgeball's on," I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, what part?" You see what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's
Mhm.
for me. Like sit down and enjoy where it's at versus like I'm not gonna go and like seek it out
Mhm.
because it's just there's something so specific about it
Mhm.
that I just am like, eh.
Everybody did great. Lindsay
It
Lohan does
feels
fantastic.
very
It's a good movie,
Look,
but
it's like
I-
it's too close to a rom-com for me, I think, for
Mm.
me to be like made for me.
are you kidding?
uh-oh.
For
Oh, yeah.
Mean Girl?
Uh-oh.
A rom-com?
This the part. This is the part where he says,
because
"Fuck you."
it's all about her and the
Aaron
relationship.
Samuels.
What the fuck? I'm gonna remember that, Brian. Like, but like that's where I'm like that's where because there's that port, but then there's also that
Okay,
maybe
look.
rom-com was the wrong choice, but
No, it's fine. I'm being indignant because Mean Girls is being knocked out, and I'm gonna make peace with it. My dissenting opinion is that Mean Girls just it stuck with me the moment I saw it, and I know it's Tina Fey comedy, and you're either in
sure.
or out for a Tina Fey comedy for
Mhm.
everything that means good and bad. I just feel like that cast, it's such a tight cast. It is
Mhm.
such they
Mhm.
fire on all
Mhm.
cylinders. Amanda Seyfried, who is super intelligent, by the way, and a great actress, plays
Mhm.
the dumbest blonde
Mhm.
you could ever imagine,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but it works. And I don't know. I get a lot from that movie. I feel like it's funny and intelligent, and it has some
Mhm.
good purpose to it. And at the end of the day, it also kind of, I like Mean Girls a lot. Good luck to Dodgeball and the rest of the bracket. But there we are. That's it.
Damn, hot damn.
That's it.
Brian,
So
because I like to say nice things about even when they don't get picked, I like to make sure that I say nice things about them.
oh, okay.
I
Okay.
will say that for Mean Girls, I do think that it did an excellent job of trying to capture the high school perspective from all
Yes.
angles, not just the female gaze.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
Right.
it could have gone, this is called Mean Girls. It's for girls. You won't get it
Yeah.
otherwise.
Mhm.
But it was so much about like there is a lot in there for like younger women who went through maybe a high school experience, and I'm assuming, given my perspective, I don't know, given my identity, but like maybe they had similar experiences depending on the
Yeah.
high school that they went to, and so
Yeah.
it's super relatable. But I think that it did a good job of being like, no, this is high school.
Mhm.
Like this is
Mhm.
just that's just
Yeah.
kind of the way it is. So I
That's just the
100%.
way it is. Things will never be the
So
same.
our Elite Eight, ladies and gentlemen.
Talk to 'em.
I
Our
see no
Elite
changes.
Eight is 40-Year-Old Virgin versus The Hangover.
Okay, White Pac.
We have Meet the Parents versus Talladega Nights. We have White Chicks versus Step Brothers. And then Scary Movie versus Dodgeball for next
Holy
week.
shit.
May the bracket have mercy on our souls. 'cause,
Brian.
like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
we might have fucked ourselves here.
We
It's gonna
like
be a
this,
battle.
this is different. This is gonna be. I mean, there's no more like fat on the bone here, folks. Like this is it.
Yeah, 40-Year-Old Virgin versus The Hangover. Meet the
Legends.
Fockers versus Talladega Nights. That's a 5 and a 4.
5 and a
White
4
Chicks
seed.
versus Step Brothers, and then that last one's tough. Jesus, these are all hard.
Yeah,
I guess
gonna
what
be
we need to
tough.
consider here as a pod is like, what are we at this point in the Elite Eight, right? And that's where we are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are we considering now? Because it can't be what it was,
Oh,
right? Like, oh, what's funny and what blah 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 blah. There has to be a different element that's added now for this part of the pod.
Yeah,
I
we'll have to
mean,
think about that.
Yeah.
like it's
No answer right now, but just like I just think it's
what
something to
is
consider.
comedy? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
What is it really?
Let's break that son of a bitch down. What is
All right.
comedy?
That bracket is updated.
It
So
is,
long.
baby.
So long, everybody.
These will also be posted on socials. So
Yeah. Man,
Ooh.
I'm not looking forward to this next week.
Nope.
Jeez.
No, that's going to be a challenge. Like I am looking forward to it because I love our discussion, but also, you and Marcus will collaborate in your separate chat to decide how you want the bracket to go. So
Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
We're
you
in the
knocked
chat
out
right
two
now.
of my darlings, but it's fine. It's
Mhm.
fine.
Brian, we all know that you and Marcus have an elaborate plan to overthrow me and establish a
Yes.
new puppet third heat. And
you got
it's
us.
the way it is.
Literally, I'm gonna put a puppet over here on Maggie's
That's
side
crazy.
of the office, and
You're
just
gonna call.
move
You're
it
gonna call
around.
Roman. You'll be like, "Hey, Roman, we have an opening for, a pod member," and I'll be like, "What's happening to me?" And you're like, "Well," kind of like look at me.
You
and
know
wait
how
for
you
me to
like
leave.
scheduling stuff all the time?
Well, now you can schedule some more shit, you dumb bitch. Like,
Oh my god.
and that's where Brian
Doug, you're
starts
being so
cussing at
much more mean to
everybody.
yourself.
Brian starts cussing me out. He's like,
This
"Yeah,
got
I've been
really
saving
aggressive.
up this moment." Gentlemen, let us pivot on over
All right,
to X-Men 97,
all
shall we?
97 of them.
So as you heard earlier, X-Men 97 debuted both episodes on Wednesday of last
Mhm,
week.
Yeah,
mhm.
they did.
Don't make anybody
Wednesdays are
wait.
big content days because there's a
Yeah.
lot. Everything dropped. Like a lot of my favorite podcasts drop on Wednesdays. The X-Men 97 dropped on Wednesday. It was just a lot of shit. Like I didn't realize how heavy on content Wednesdays are.
Well, and there was
mean,
there was a
you-
lot of basketball going on too. Still, because we were in the height of March Madness stuff. So
I mean, you also
There's a
know
lot
people are
popping.
at home. Like it's
Mhm.
middle of the week. You know,
That's
they're
true.
not
Yep.
having a ton
Not
of
gonna
plans.
go to the
They got work
weekend.
the next
Yeah.
day. You know.
Yep. But gentlemen, should we? I mean,
Where
does
do you
somebody
want to
wanna
start?
give? I mean, do we do a barbershop summary for these first two episodes just to provide a sense of
I
what
mean,
happened?
I mean, I guess.
Or how do you all want to go about it? This is a little bit different than our usual reviews that we usually do.
I mean, I don't think we need to do a barbershop necessarily because I mean we've only had an hour of story basically
That's
out
true.
of
There's not a lot
like
to summarize.
13 episodes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think we can just I mean for TV, I think we can just hit the ground running here. I mean,
Yeah, let's do it. Then
that
take it.
first
Then take it away, Brian.
that first episode, it had a very it's like Star Wars like a little bit in the realm of like The Force Awakens of like, look, we gotta like we understand we have to set the stage and also continue the story at the same time and also
Mhm.
acknowledge all this other weird stuff that happened. And I think they did it. Like I think they
Mhm.
did it 90% of the way. So kicking it off, like it basically it lets you know, like, yeah, it's just been a few months since you saw the last episode. By the
Mhm.
way, no big deal. Professor X is dead, and that threw me for a loop because the last
Yes, look.
episode of the one that was in the 90s, it was like, bye, like Professor X was like, bye, everybody, I'm going with my space girlfriend.
Mhm.
And then it cuts to like, anyway, Professor X is dead.
Mhm.
So
September
that was
20th, 1997 was the last episode. It was called Graduation Day.
right. So I'm wondering if they're going to play with that expectation a little bit, but I'm happy to move on from it because we're all very well versed in just hashtag comics. Like, who knows? They'll have some elaborate backstory.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, I want what I wanted from this episode. I wanted my X-Men team
Mhm.
kicking some Sentinel ass, and it delivered, and I was happy. It, that was the bar, and they met it. I don't know how you all felt.
Mhm.
I mean, I appreciated it because like it both like reinvented itself as something distinctly different.
Yes.
But hit on the same beats that I remember from watching the original 30 years ago. And that first episode debuting then, because the first episode is Night of the Sentinels, where they are all chasing Jubilee. First episode of this is they are all chasing another mutant that they have found, and the X-Men have to come in and help in some capacity. But I appreciate what they did with it. There's also something about the animation with this that I like a little bit more too. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's, I mean, obviously, you know, going now and going back and watching it, there's obviously like a little bit of a technology jump.
Oh yeah.
But it's just so crisp and so clean and just so well done. So all in all, I was really impressed with both of these.
And they are hand drawing those characters,
Oh, I
which is
believe that.
just
Yeah, that's
absolutely nutty.
Mhm.
I'll share where that was, where that interview was. But in the interview, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're hand drawing all the characters, save for like a few complicated like background environments or objects. Like they're hand drawing it all, which is just, I think that's why it looks so good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the time. Bring back taking your time. I mean, the first two episodes are really good, and they do something really, really special. Of like, it doesn't miss a beat. You know what I mean? and that's what they wanted, right? I think they said that like, no, this isn't it's not a reboot, it's a follow-up to this story. And they are still hitting on some of those notes that of stories we're familiar with. Jean busts out the Phoenix outfit while she's talking and discussing something. Magneto's talking about all the things. He's being held accountable for all the shit that he did beforehand. You know, can you trust him? Can't you trust him? What happens? What's going on with Scott? There's a clone at the end. And I think that it just kind of, it immediately drops you right back into why you love this shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I also feel like X-Men at its core is part action series, part mouthpiece for advocating, like, not diversity, but just like advocating we should all be nicer to each other. And like embrace our differences. And then it's also part soap opera. And you have to be okay with all three of those things happening.
You know exactly what you want. Yeah, that's a great point, Brian.
And because I know for some people it was like, wow, I feel like they just kind of took some big swings, and I'm like, yup, like, look, Jean Grey can't die before, like, Jean Grey dies before she eats breakfast. Okay, like, I am expecting some like Omega level twists every 15 to 20 minutes here. And I feel like that's why I was really happy they did a 2-episode premiere, because the first episode, right? It's kind of like them being like, we understand what you want. Here it is. And then they gave you a little bit of extra mustard in the form of Cyclops. I have been a Cyclops fan for like 20 years. I have never seen a positive response to any type of Cyclops thing.
Unanimously.
Like, thank you. Unanimously on main. I'm seeing Twitter posts where people are hot and heavy for Scott Summers. What timeline am I in? Like,
I forgot what that tweet said. They said they would do that. Was hilarious.
Step on me, you giant redwood.
Yeah. That's Brian remembered. Yeah, that was exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Like, Cyclops.
Sorry, that was in
when
our
I was
separate
growing up, Cyclops was the straight and narrow guy. Like, hey, don't do that. Make sure you do this. And in the show, he was kind of like that too. But man, it's like they ripped off the plastic packaging here, and it's like, no, he's actually like a badass.
Here's where it got. Here's where what is interesting to me. I think the way that they reintroduce and introduce these characters. So, like, I gotta remember the audience is not just us. So around this our age range for this podcast, but it is also, it has to work and introduce these characters to new audiences too as well that may not be familiar with, you know, X-Men. Now, I would love to see. Now, I saw somewhere that they had a 4 million view like opening for X-Men 97.
That's huge for them.
It's the highest. It's the highest opening of any Disney Plus original like show like of that length.
Wow.
It is currently the highest rated television show of 2024 to date.
Like,
2 episodes.
2 episodes, right? And it's like, here's what they did well, I think, for me. The way that you introduce and reintroduce these characters. Same voice actors for the most part. Everything is pretty much the same. There is a joy with Cyclops that is like, yes, he is the big blue Boy Scout because he was Professor Xavier's like protege, essentially. He molded prepping him for this moment. There is that Jean and Scott relationship, and then there is still that Wolverine a little bit has animosity about this whole thing. Magneto and Rogue, like, they did really well just introducing the characters and their powers first, and then their relationships and how they work. Storm and Jean was not something that I thought was like, they made them. Storm is calling Jean sister. Oh my sister. Blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not something I remember in the old show, but this is something that I like in the new show, and the way that they depicted Omega level Storm and her powers.
Holy shit. That's the thing that stood out the most to me was when they were fighting the master mold in the desert and she is striking the sand
just make it
and
glass,
turning it to glass. I was like, holy shit. And that's what I think I appreciate is like, it's almost like they left the kid. It's like they had 2 kid gloves and they took like one off and they left the other on because the one they took off, they were like, no. Like, these are Omega level mutants that have a powers. Yes, Scott can take himself, shoot down at the ground and stop himself from falling because that's the level of control that he has. Whereas like old school show Scott, like Jean would have been like stopping him from hitting the ground.
Yes.
And he's actually like, and then that whole stuff with like or Gambit riding Wolverine and like putting energy on his like all of this was just so well done. But to Marcus, to your point of like, I don't think I would have a whole lot of issue of like showing like Harrison starting to get into the old X-Men show a little bit. Like, I don't think there would be much of it where I would have to be like, ooh, maybe not this episode. Like, I feel like he could jump right in and it wouldn't be a big deal.
100%.
Yeah.
To me, my X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Bring the forecast. They're making simple shit sound. Now, the next point we get into, now I don't know what direction y'all want to go, but I know the direction I want to get into.
All right.
You drive the bus, man.
He's making I like the fact that they're making corny shit like To Me, My X-Men, or show them the forecast to introduce Storm as she comes in and is like, yes, that's the campy cartoon shit I fucking want. Like, let's stop being so cool and stop trying to make our superheroes so goddamn down to earth. And this shit is a cartoon about mutants and advocacy. Like, let's stick to that and do that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, Brian, I know you want to talk about them falling from a plane, so I'm gonna go there, and then we're gonna go to the big point.
Look, I just want to say we're back. We're so back because this team of X-Men is in a supersonic jet that gets exploded in midair, and Scott Summers is falling. He's like, "Great job, everybody. So let's go do the next thing." And you're just like, "These are the messy mutants that I've been missing since like my childhood." Because, and I've said this in the group chat, and I just think it's important to say out loud, like, the Avengers they have such a stranglehold on the culture. Like, even though they're not at their peak power, but like, you know what an Avenger is, and you know what to expect from an Avenger. And like, they are pristine, they're immaculate, they're going back through time. And then you have the X-Men, and their leader is stoked because their plane got blown up. And he's like, all right, everybody, good job. We got here. Let's go do the next thing. Like, it's not like it's no thing but a chicken wing here. Right. And I love the tone shift of it. And I love that they're embracing just how messy these people are. And we're not trying to clean it up. And we're just letting them be people, which is one of the reasons I feel like people were really tuned into this show. Like, these were people that like made mistakes, like realistic mistakes, and had actual feelings. Not saying that Avengers don't, but like, you think of that Avengers crew and it's always for the greater good. Like, the X-Men are people just trying to figure out where they are in this world. So I appreciate that tee up, Marcus, because
of course
I feel like that moment in this show is what sets it apart from all the other superhero teams Marvel
of course
like, talks about.
Tee up anytime.
No. It's jealousy. It doesn't look good on you.
Look here.
It's not jealousy. It's a crusade.
Well, one thing I'd like to tee you up for, Doug,
no, you don't lie to me.
The first episode is pretty, I mean, it's kind of what we expected, I would say, more or less. Second episode, though, I feel like all of us were taken a little bit, I don't know, I'm not going to say surprised. I was surprised it took a turn for the trial of Magneto. And the things that episode introduced.
Talk about it.
That's the best way to say it. Look, I'm just going to come out and say it. They made a January 6th episode. I didn't see it coming, but here I am on my couch watching the trial of Magneto, and I'm like, oh, they just legit ripped this from the current headlines and just put it right into the trial of Magneto. Like, and I'm glad they went for it because it works.
He called them bigots. He said the word, you bigots. He said, how dare you? I should burn y'all asses up. He magnetized and lifted their asses up. So here's what happens, and spoiler alert, obviously.
Oh, yeah, we said that.
I forgot the villain's name. The
Executioner.
The Executioner.
That's what he calls himself.
Has a gun, and in the gun is the same gamma radiation that is in the collars that permits the X-Men from using their powers that they wear around their neck, but it's a straight dose. In this, the Executioner is aiming for Magneto. With him, Executioner and his team, they go and they storm quote unquote, right? They storm the UN as they hold this trial against Magneto. And the executioner has this gun and he's aiming for Magneto, but Magneto is working with the X-Men and he's trying to prove that they can trust him and that the UN control, because they went and arrested his ass on the front lawn of the Charles Xavier School of the Gifted. And they was like, motherfucker, you owe us. And so, like, you did some shit to us, we're gonna put you in handcuffs and we're gonna take you to trial. So they took his ass to trial. Executioner went and aims for Magneto, but he hit Storm. So Storm,
hold on. Like, you are not wrong. But I just also want to highlight some other like really important beats that are there that I think make these moments like that sort of heighten them and taking them to another level.
Okay.
Particularly, Magneto is not like forcibly taken.
No,
he immediately defaults to, I'm going to take those rotary blades from that helicopter. I'm just going to cut you all to pieces. But then he looks at the X-Men and he goes, guess I have to try to be different. And then he willingly turns himself over, which leads to this moment right before he's shot of, even when I follow the rules, I am still treated like I am not someone who deserves the rules for me. And that's something that I thought was such like a powerful moment, because like it's a like the January 6th allegory is really, really powerful and works, and like they did a great job with. But what I was picking up on was like, yeah, that's big. But what I was like really like laser focused to me is you are really putting a distinct line in the sand and really trying to say something of like, it has nothing to do with your rules. It has nothing to do with the system. It has everything to do with the fact that you are threatened, that I will take something that you feel like you are owed. And there is dialogue that leaves the executioner's mouth when he is fighting Scott, where he says, I wouldn't care. We all have issues. You are always complaining. Stop whining about it all the time. Like,
if we had that, that was a good.
They dialed that like shit, that like rhetoric shit up
neo-Nazi. That neo-Nazi.
That's exactly what they did. And when I looked up right here, because the group that is trying to go, because the reason why they're storming the Capitol is they are infuriated that Magneto is even getting a trial. Like,
Friends of Humanity.
Because of what exactly? And I was looking up in my copy of God Loves Man Kills. I was like, holy shit, did they pull that directly from there? And they didn't. It's called the Stryker Foundation. Is the one from there. But there was a part of me that was like, man, this rhetoric sounds like it's pulled like right out of there. Like, so yeah, that was really, really well good. I didn't mean to step on your
no. That was awesome. That was
these
good.
are like, these are like, for me, like that stuff, it was like, holy shit, like that all makes this stuff so much more like palpable of this. This isn't just about like people blasting laser eyes at each other. Like there is some more complexity here.
And I think you summed it up better than I would have for sure. So I'm really glad you stepped in, because I feel like a lot of those thematic elements can be lost because you're like, oh, Magneto's gonna do the Magnafield thing and Storm's making swords out of like steel, right?
Fire.
And I feel, and I love
cool.
that. Oh, it was rad as hell. I think it's really important that you brought out that point that like, even when they follow the rules, right, they're still treated differently. And I feel like that part could have been underscored even more, but I think it's Magneto's speech, right, that drives this episode home of like, look, I'm going to try to do this. Like, I'm not your guy, but like, do not make me let you down is such it's
powerful
such like
line.
It's such a grandiose double meaning while this master of magnetism is holding you in the air of just like, okay, like this guy is trying. He's trying, I guess, but like, he's not going to be somebody that's walked over, and he understands the game that is played. Like he knows he's at a vulnerability or whatever. And I feel like, I don't know, it's really hard to do that. And they did it so efficiently in like 30 minutes of television.
Yeah,
in an
it was quick
format. There's movies that we reviewed for the podcast that haven't done
that.
That
had 2 hours to do that.
And they couldn't do it.
And 2 hours. And they were like, What happened?
Right? Like Devil All the Time. I'm looking at you.
Oh, that is Brian. That's wild as shit. Brian, I thought the same fucking thing. Like I thought the same thing when you before you
What
said
a
that.
fucking shot to a movie from 2 seasons ago.
The
2
deep
seasons
cut.
ago. I mean, look, you can go back to that review. You know, you can find out my feelings on it, but like it gets to the point with all the whiz bang and it sticks. I think that's the other thing. It sticks because I don't know. For me, I was like, oh, we're doing January 6th. And I was like, oh, okay. Like this is, you know, like this show's growing up. I think that's the thing that's what I'm trying to say. The show is growing up, and that's such a rare thing. That's just a rare thing in media. And I feel like we're the target audience for it. So I am curious how people who aren't the target audience, like I'm very curious how my niece, Darby, I know she'll probably watch it. I'm very curious how that moment is going to land with her. If she's like, why would you do this? Like, why would you because maybe like it's not growing up with her, right? Like she's seeing it for the first time at this point. So yeah, like it's really rare that a show can grow up with you and tackle these really difficult things you're seeing as you've grown up.
And I think the other thing that I've appreciated more about this is that like my knowledge has grown up with it too.
Right.
Like, and there are so many things in there that like I picked up on that like we didn't, that helps me contextualize like where we're at. Because I asked you all, I was like, did they do the master mold in the earlier set of things? Was that a concept that they introduced in the original program in the original show? What am I, 86?
You're going back to the 90s.
What am I, 86 years old?
Program.
I know, that's a nice little program.
Stories.
So the reason why I ask is because the X-Men as of now, the whole like Fall of X, House of X stuff that's going on, there's a pretty big moment with the master mold being tried to be brought back up to like up and running again. And that's what they're fighting against. The difference is it's a conglomeration of Hydra, Shield, the US government, and others that are trying to bring it up and running again. That's another story for another day. But like that, so like I was like, did they do that, or is this brand new? But I mean, you could jump back and forth, and your entry point now is, oh, they talked them I saw that. I really like X-Men the show. Maybe I'll go back and try out some stuff that's in a book now that I want to see, and you wouldn't lose a whole lot.
No.
The only thing that would be tough is Magneto mentions Genosha, and Genosha's gone in our current X-Men comic book timeline. It was destroyed by human beings.
Marcus, do you want to add anything before I go on another tear? Because I feel like okay.
No, I do not.
I do appreciate that this episode Magneto was like, yeah, I went down and helped the Morlocks and sent them to Genosha. Why didn't y'all do that before? Like,
oh yeah,
I did appreciate how the show was kind of calling itself out in a sense of like, you have all these resources. You have a giant, like, supersonic stealth jet, and you can't even help the people in the sewers. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
I enjoyed that, and it put the X-Men in their place a little bit.
Right. It does sort of highlight the ridiculousness a little bit of like, you just continued to let them live down there? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, it highlights that it's the compromise of Charles Xavier. He wants or the mission that overshadows maybe what the reality is, and that's the hard part and the lovable part about X-Men, and specifically Charles and Magneto's relationship for me is like Charles is trying his best, damn near. He's putting together his team, but he is living and dying on the sword of this word, and Magneto says it, of coexisting. Like he doesn't even want to, Magneto doesn't even want to say the word in the show. He's like, Magneto has this dream of coexisting with the humans, and that's just not what he wants to fucking do. As opposed to Magneto is like, well, let me send this motherfucker, like, we got an island, we have the resources. Ship, why don't we just leave? They don't want us here. Why don't we just fucking leave? And that is sometimes detriment to Charles Xavier in his mission. I think it can be because he's like, you push for that, but does that make the most sense? I liked that. I like seeing the balance of like the humans and the X-Men. The
Mhm.
UN being like, yeah, this is why we decided to trust the X-Men because of this moment. And they're still earning their trust, but it's not Charles Xavier. And you can kind of see the ripple effects of
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I thought that whole dialogue between Rogue and Magneto, where he was like,
When they about to fuck.
we
we
right before they
have to talk
start,
about
right
it.
before they started to
You
rock,
said we don't have to talk about it.
right
No,
before they
we have
started to,
to.
Oh, good.
they wanted to like rock the desk.
Mhm.
They like Rogue has this line. He has this
In
line of
memory of
like,
Charles.
when I was first like trying to be, when we were first friends, he was always in my mind. Because there's this assumption
Right.
that like Magneto
Right.
doesn't wears the helmet because he doesn't want his thoughts read.
Mhm.
So when
Right.
he says this whole line of like, no, I wear it because I had to sever myself if I was going to go to a different part, and
Mhm.
him constantly just checking to make sure I was okay was going to fuck me up. Like
Mhm.
that to me, I was like, oh shit. Like that
Oh
just,
man.
it changes the perspective on it so much more of what their relationship was, because it wasn't as adversarial as one would think.
No.
It's just, so I appreciate now you kind of get it from his context a little bit, which
Mhm.
then provides a little bit more clarity, which I really appreciated.
Which shows have to do more. Like you
Yes.
have to. The whole
Yeah.
point of Charles and Magneto's relationship is the thin line that it walks. Of I still love that motherfucker. He is still a
Right.
mutant and still my brother, and we did this work together. We just
Mhm.
have a disagreement on where we see the end destination being, and that is a very thin. But it says a lot to why Charles gave it to Magneto to challenge him to be better. That's what he said. And
Right.
so I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, and man, they're bringing out those undertones of the relationship of Professor X and Magneto. To I'm not gonna say it's explicit, but like I feel like an average viewer will be like, were they a thing? Maybe not. On again, off again. I don't know. Like I enjoyed that because
Yeah.
I feel like bringing that out is worthwhile. And then let's get into it. Then we got Rogue getting some magnets shuffled with Magneto.
That's not what I
Which
thought you were going to say.
I would get in.
look, man, there's a lot of magnet jokes you can make. But you know, look, I don't think any of
They were
us
touching their poles, magnetic
look,
poles.
Look, they're I can't. I don't think any of us were expecting the magnetism between the two of them. I think we knew that they had a relationship in the comics. That was the last thing I expected to see in this TV show. 100%.
I'm kind of surprised that they went that
Me
route,
too.
especially
Me
because I
too.
felt like her and Gambit were so close to having
Right.
their moment. Even in these first two episodes, I was like, no, there's something different about the two of them now. Like there's something distinctly different here. So when he comes in and kind of throws a wrench in it all, it changes things for sure. So
I mean,
She just wants to be touched.
I mean,
but again, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That's
I
mean, the reality is, it's like I love the fact that they didn't just put Rogue in a position where she just immediately left Gambit. One, she challenged Magneto. She challenged Eric and was like, "You want us to trust you? You're gonna have to give a little bit for us to do that." Because we got history. She walked right in there and challenged that motherfucker first, and that was a large part of the reason why he didn't just chop their heads off with the top of the damn rotary blade. He looked at Rogue first and then said, I'm willing to give you a little bit here to earn y'all's trust as X-Men. He was talking to Rogue directly. And so like they didn't just make it seem like they went in there and got to knocking magnets together and like knocking shit around and all the paper clips is all over the goddamn place. But like they did actually give it like some trust, and she wants to be touched. She said that in the club scene, like, oh, it must be nice to be able to dance on the person that you want to fucking touch. And although Gambit is patient and willing to do that for her, that's not all that she needed. She needed more, because there's only one person who can literally chemically, physically do that for her, and it just happens to be Magneto.
I do feel like this is important for listeners. So, like in the comics, Magneto can create a barrier of magnetism around him.
A condom.
So there you go. Your magnet condom. Look, it's comics.
Write that down. Write that down. That's the title. Write that down.
That's the fucking title of the fucking
Write that
episode.
down. Write that down. Write that down.
I
That's
feel
it.
like this is the second week in a row I say something and both of you are like, "Oh, stop!"
I felt
stop
it in my
everything.
bones. I felt that in my bones. That was it.
Oh my gosh! Like, so that's how that happens. And Doug, I'm sure, could happily inform us of other stories involving Rogue and Magneto.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Talk to him.
Yeah, so there's a whole storyline that revolves around okay, really quick. This is peak 90s comics. So what I'm about to describe to you, if it sounds insane, that's because it is. So there's a storyline where Legion, the son of Professor Xavier, who has multiple personalities and is telekinetic, tries to go back in time to kill Magneto.
Amazing.
What ends up happening as a result of that is Professor Charles Xavier dies and severs this off and creates a new reality where Apocalypse has risen to power. Magneto is leading the X-Men, and now he's in charge and sort of directing how things are going to move the way that they move. What happens in this scenario is Rogue becomes an avid, basically one of Magneto's biggest advocates, strongest fighters. She's a big deal in this new version of the X-Men, and Gambit's working alongside her. There is a moment where they are caught in a scenario with Wolverine, because in this new reality, Wolverine is working for Apocalypse, not for the X-Men. And so what ends up happening is she has to make a choice. Who do I save? Do I save Magneto? Do I save Gambit? She saves Magneto, and then they have a child together. So those are things that happen. Like in this world, those are things that happen.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the backstory on that end. So again, to Marcus's point, if she's young, she sees Jean like having this future with Scott. You have to assume that there's some desire there to also have that future as well. So it just kind of makes me wonder, like, does she feel that way? So that whole, like, she wants to be touched. Yeah. I mean, if she wants the things in life, like, having that physical connection, she also wants to be able to have children later in life. That's a tough call, and Magneto showed up at the right place at the right time, I guess.
That's a great pickup.
It is a great pickup. It's just a great pickup, Doug. Great job. I mean, I feel like no, I have nothing else to add to that point. This is the only thing I wanted to say about Rogue.
Say it.
Don't ever in y'all life again, Fox, depict Rogue like y'all did in the first 3 X-Men movies. Like the first one was fine,
shit.
But the second and the third, y'all made her so helpless that I think it's ridiculous. And I love the fact that in X-Men, the original, and X-Men 97, Rogue is not that at all. Like, she's very confident and knows how to use her powers. Like, even in this one, the bigoted doctor that didn't want to deliver Jean's baby.
Right.
Like, that ability to be able to explain their powers to that extent, I think is something that I appreciate with the cartoons, because you have time to do it, right? And it's like, you touch the doctor and Rogue, can you touch the doctor to get all of his knowledge so that you can deliver this baby? While he's talking about some, y'all get y'all asses out of here, I'm never going to deliver y'all baby. Knock his ass out, get all his information, tell him to prep the ER. Like, I think that's fire, and nothing that they really delve into outside of making her touch just poisonous. And like, I love their depiction of Rogue and the confidence of this X-Men team as they work together. Like, it's not they didn't kick this off with like, we got to get our chemistry back together because Charles is gone. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, we are still the X-Men. Charles is just gone.
This show goes to die Brian. This show goes to die if it is they're getting the band back together. Sorry,
and that's what I was gonna. No. We're saying the same thing, because it's refreshing that you have this continuation. And you don't have like, well, we gotta go on a road trip and find Gambit. Like, we don't need that. We know what we're here for. Just keep going, and everybody else can catch up. Like, so no, we're all saying the same thing, and it's refreshing, because it goes back to like this show feels like it's growing up. You have Scott and Jean being like, we have a baby. We can't like hang out at a mansion where robots attack us. You have Rogue being like, I actually would like a physical relationship with someone. That would be great. Like I can be this flirty firecracker.
Knock me upside my head with that refrigerator magnet.
Refrigerator magnet.
Let me put the helmet on.
Oh man, I can't recover from this. I'm trying to pull up.
Not that helmet.
Third example I can't think of because I'm trying to move on. But the show's growing up in so many great ways. Magnet helmet jokes aside.
Although Doug and I are never going to grow the fuck up ever. Apparently.
Nope, ever.
There's that.
Ever.
I mean, I can't think of a more X-Men way to close an episode other than having them all stand around the living room being like, well, that was weird. And then the door opens and we have a fainting Jean Grey when there's already a Jean Grey in the living room.
My hope is that we get more scowls like that from Magneto, because that doorbell rang and he was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
like, he had this
seriously.
look. Like, he had this look like somebody just backed out, like tried to like back in and out of their drivay to turn around.
He tapped quickly into this is
bad.
my house. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I got to finish. Storm does lose her powers.
Oh,
so
yeah.
yes,
How
she
did we
does.
miss
Yeah.
that?
the
Good
way that
point.
they portray Storm in this is one of my favorites because they portray her as this goddess that she is. And
Yes.
Magneto says a line that's like that too. He says, "My Storm, you are the closest thing to a goddess that we will ever see in our life."
Mhm.
And to me, I really enjoyed that because it does depict the beauty that he sees in these mutants.
Mhm.
Like, they're not just
Yes.
mutants. He's like, no, you are the closest thing to a goddess that we will ever fucking see in our life. And you are
Yes.
absolutely right. But Storm loses her powers. And it seems like they're going to follow that plot line where she falls in love, gets her powers back from a guy she falls in. I forgot what his name is, but it starts with an F.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that one.
She falls in. There's a comic run where she loses her powers,
Okay.
kind of similar to the same way. And then she goes on this adventure, falls in love with this guy. Turns out the guy that she kind of falls in love with built the gun or the energy that is in the collar or in the gun. And they get into it and have a tit for tat. Somehow she gets her powers back eventually, but it seems like that's how you get the new Storm with the black, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like black suit Storm that we.
I could also see, because I think what they are hinting towards with the introduction, for those that may not know, is that I do think they are hinting that Mr. Sinister is somewhere out there.
Yes.
And for those that don't know, Mr. Sinister is like an expert geneticist. So if anyone could unlock the power of getting her powers back,
good point.
he would be able to do it. So like, there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe, she goes and gets herself involved with the wrong person at the wrong time in an act of desperation. That doesn't really seem in line with her character, so maybe not, but you never know. I've never had my powers.
That seems more entertaining, but yeah.
I had really mixed feelings when Storm lost her powers because I was like, this is dramatic, but like Storm is one of my favorite characters. But then I saw her getting on the bus and I was like, this means we're getting a solo Storm story. I'm okay with it now because like there's no way they're gonna leave her depowered the entire season.
No,
she's not gonna be separated from the X-Men for the entire season.
Way.
Like she's gonna put that white outfit on again. Like that's a thing that'll happen.
And I remember from the original series, like she only got like maybe 2 solo episodes.
Yeah,
and one of them was about her going to like, oh my gosh,
Africa.
I promise. Listener, I promise this is a thing. Please, I did not make this up. She goes back to Africa and she has a son there, and she like connects with her son.
I remember that episode.
And it's bizarre. I think it's a little bizarre.
It's weird.
It felt like a filler episode, but in the worst way possible. Anyway, I'm glad that this team is going to take on a solo Storm story. That's my main point here, because I think we all need that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good show.
Yeah,
very well done. It's got me hooked. I'm a little upset that we now got to go one episode per like
man.
week, and I kind of wish that I kind of just do 2 every week and kind of like let's you know what I mean, like let's
Well,
get to it.
they're doing a weird format. I'm gonna pull it up,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's not only one episode a week at parts.
Oh, okay. I'm
Like
not mad at that.
it, yeah. Like
I take back everything I just said.
Yeah. Fuck what I just did.
hang on.
Should have did some research first.
Yeah, like basically, I'll find it. I'll find it a little bit here, but basically, some weeks are gonna be 2 episodes. I think 1 week we get 3. I think.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Let me see here.
How
Let's
many
see
total?
here. Episode 8 through 10 will be released in 3 separate weeks, but it's a 3-part finale. No, it looks like it is 1 week. I take it back.
Damn.
I totally take it back. For some
Nah,
reason,
bring
I
my-
Never
saw
mind. Well, fuck that
promo-
format then.
I'm bringing that shit right
I
back.
just want to
Fuck
say
you.
I did see a promo image, and maybe I read it wrong. But yeah, it's week by week now.
Is it
until
the
May
one with all the
15th.
like movie like VHS tapes on like a shelf,
Yes.
Brian?
Mhm.
That one was
Yes.
like ostensibly hard to read. Like that one was
Okay.
like difficult to comprehend.
So I
Like,
didn't
what are you
have a
trying
stroke.
to tell me? No,
Great.
you didn't. It was just the colors didn't like work on the background.
Okay.
It was just too much.
Put that
It's
in
like
the
they
notes.
tried. It's like they worked too well with the '90s format. Like, no, there's a reason we moved away from this
Yeah.
because I can't read it.
They had it in Canva and they were like, make it more 90s. And Canva was
Oh.
like, I don't know if you'll be able to read this. And they're like,
Jeez.
we don't give a shit.
I just want to say out loud,
More
they have a
90s.
3-part finale. So
That's old
May-
school, man.
I know, but the entire month of May is the finale. So we only have 5 episodes until the finale starts, which seems wild to me. So I'm really,
Yeah.
I'm hyped. I
Well,
mean, I'm ready.
And what I like about this is that, like, you
Is
know,
it 30 minutes?
the nostalgia in me. I mean, I did see a rumor, and maybe you all saw this true. And again, rumors taken with big giant grains of salt. But like, because of the success of this, Disney is like wondering if maybe like an animated Spider-Man comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fantastic Four, like
And
exploring the
so
old
some of
90s
these-
animated universe.
right? Because that was such a good, like, all of that was just so well done. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
height of like Marvel animation. So
Mhm.
seeing what they could maybe do with that.
This is gonna bring toys back. I just have that feeling.
I hope
Mhm.
so.
That this, if you take that route, I think that you bring money in toys back. Like there's an ability to do that. Doing it in a movie is one thing, but doing it in a cartoon stream or in a weekly thing, like I think you could get some shit out of that.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Brian.
I'm just so curious that people that aren't our target demographic
Mhm.
between like 22 and 45, I'm so curious what they think of the idea of a 90s universe. Because like it's just like, who's that for? It's exactly for
Yeah.
us, the people who are paying for Disney Plus currently. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody else is on our account, right? So I mean, it's nice to be the target demo. I would totally be into a continuation of Spider-Man, the animated series, but I could totally see some, not backlash, but people being like, no, I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
People who are deliberately skipping it, right? Like they're
Yeah.
deliberately sitting it
Yeah.
out so that way they don't have to, like, because they're like, it's just, I don't get it.
Right.
Walking through a toy aisle, I mean, they do some like package. I mean, you saw it with like when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, there was a resurgence in all of the like, because they had 2 different
Retro.
toy lines that they were running. They had the retro line and all the shit that I loved,
Yes.
like when I was younger. I can go out to
Yes.
Target and with adult dollars buy now.
Yep.
Like I don't have to wait
100%,
for my
yeah.
parents to give
Mhm.
it to me for Christmas.
Do your chores.
Or do my chores. And I could see them doing
Fuck
something
you, Mom.
similar. I could see them doing something similar with this, which is it's like here's
yeah.
the X-Men 97 line, but if you want to have, you can buy 2 different versions of
Mhm.
Morph, one where he has a
Oh.
gray head and one where he
Yep.
has the old school like human being kind of head.
Well, I
Like-
have the Wolverine. I have the Wolverine X-Men 97 in the other room right now.
Oh, sure.
Nice.
It has the changeable claws and the changeable head on it. So it's like, you're right. What did I do with my adult money? I saw the shit that I always wanted as a
Yep.
kid, and I went and bought that motherfucker.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that I could see them doing more of that like down
That
the
was
line.
very
for sure.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's
No,
fine.
but
I get it.
it's-
It's we've heard
Eat
it.
it, eat it, Mom. Should have got it for me when I was a kid. Hmm?
I mean,
Can't
I'm
keep
looking
it out
at
of my hands
my
forever.
Funko Pops, and I feel like I might need a Cyclops one. So
Mhm.
you know,
I mean-
I'm there. I'm there with you.
I have to read some comic books before I buy anything else.
Dude, I want you to read your Age of Apocalypse issues
Yeah,
and just tell
you
us
got a
the
lot of shit.
nutty concepts and
guys,
stories they
it's
give
getting
out.
it's like there was a moment where I was like, I have a handle on this, and then like I went out and bought a few issues, and I was like, no, I don't. Like now I'm right back where I started.
I can do this,
Man.
y'all. Never mind.
It's the you know what
Never
it is?
mind.
It's the fucking collector in me. It's like that, like
Yeah,
fucking Thanos. I'm like, I gotta have all of the stones in
You-
the right order, and if
the
I can't get
completionist in you.
that's exactly what
Yup.
this is. Is it's like, and Marcus has been there with me, like when we've been at the comic book store at Sioux
Goddamn
Falls,
right.
and he's like, "Why aren't you getting that?" I'm like, "Because they don't have issue 13, but they have
Mhm.
12 and 14, 15,
Oh my
16.
gosh.
But if they don't have 13, I'm not gonna get it now."
Dog, I
Like
love you,
it
man.
bothers me so much.
Man.
That's a story for another day, though. Gentlemen, anything else that you all want to talk before we close this one out?
Let's jump out of this plane and move on. Great job, X-Men.
Great
Bucket,
job,
yeah.
team. To me, man.
Good job, team.
Man.
Gentlemen, anything that you all have to plug this week?
Hey, type in Color Me Confetti. You can find all of her printables that you can print at your home for your next party. That's Color Me Confetti on Etsy.
Brian, can you just say it again? Sorry.
Sure thing. That's Color Me Confetti, all one word. Go to Etsy.com, put that in the search bar. You're going to get some good stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Marcus?
Make sure you follow the mantra, never offended, always humble, NOAH for short. We love you. We need you here. Make sure you follow the mantra. Go listen to some new music by Soul Tie. Listen to some music by Marcus Destin. I think at this point of the night, my new niece, baby Nova from Stefan or Snoop, I think is having his baby tonight. And so my new niece Nova should be in the world. So shout out to my niece Nova and my baby J baby guy baby J baby. Love y'all.
Congrats.
Shout out to Snoop, man. Congrats, man. Happy for you.
You.
Gentlemen, the only thing I have to plug is this podcast. So if you enjoyed listening to us, share us with a friend or a family member. It's the best way that we grow. Head over to patreon.com/films in black and white. Sign up for our Patreon there. Love the support. But really, best thing that you can do is the free thing that you can do, and that is spreading the love and sharing us with a friend or a family member. We have a 3-step process to success. Brian Roush, what is that first step?
Hey folks, I want you to read a book. And like literally it doesn't need to be a book, but just read. You heard Doug, he's collecting comic book issues. There's some weird stuff in there. Go if our X-Men 97 discussion has spurred in anything in you, there are so many collected editions of X-Men 2 that you can go and get them at price books. Like go get the Phoenix Saga for like $10. It'll be one of the best purchases that you'll make.
My God,
so just go indulge yourself. Go read some comic books. Get weird with it. Read a book.
Absolutely. Marcus? Let's on that second step.
Make sure you drink some water, big dog. Listen, I know there's snow outside where we at, but that ain't everywhere. And the sun will come back. The sun will shine tomorrow. So make sure you're drinking water and preparing yourself for that. And if you're gonna knock magnet boots, you gotta, water belongs somewhere in there between. I don't know, but somewhere make it work.
You gotta hydrate.
You gotta hydrate.
Yeah, you don't want to cramp. You don't want to cramp up in anything.
Yeah, you lifted the UN to the sky and then knock boots with somebody's girlfriend inside the house. Like I know y'all be having X orgies or whatever it is y'all call it, but drink some water.
Oh yeah, 100% there.
I'm gonna be really hung up on what they call it. Our third step is to wash your ass. Look, y'all, as Marcus said, it's gross outside here, but it is not gross everywhere, and the sun will come back. And when you start hanging out with people in public, whether that's going on walks or maybe you're exercising or maybe you're just getting out and about, having a beer at a brewery outside, like wash your ass. Don't take all of that stank from inside outside into the world with you as we get into spring, y'all. It's real important. So be sure to wash your ass. That does it for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. We'll be back next week with another outstanding episode. In the meantime and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We catch y'all next week.
X orgies. Magnet condoms and X orgies. What's the name of the episode?
Zergies.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not an X-Men.
getting into
Man.
those jeans with a G.
That man got all
Oh.
that. He got all the paper clips in Charles' office rocking with Rogue in that motherfucker. I'll tell you that.
Orbiting, just orbiting.
They going crazy in there, boy. They can't find a
Staplers.
single